Hello everyone, I'm Douglas C. Welch, and it is that time of year again. Yes, it is time for our annual Christmas cookie party. We've had it now for I think the last 20 years, since 1992 if I remember correctly. And so it's time to get started with our baking. Have about a week and a half this year. Our party is always the second Saturday of December, and this year it's a little early because the first is this Saturday. So sometimes we have to get moving and get on with things. Today I'm going to start out with what I always start out with, which is actually candies. We're going to make two types of fudge today, simply because they're so easy to do and they just help to get things going. They also store really well. There'll be no problem storing them for the week and a half until the party. Okay, so here we have our nice mise en place, our everything in its place, and we're ready to go. Now this fudge takes minutes to make, which is probably a bit unfortunate because you might make it a little too often. It is very rich. Obviously you don't want to eat a lot of this, but it is fun to have around. First of all, it's made from basically 3 ingredients, maybe 4 if you consider vanilla. We have butter, peanut butter, confectioner's sugar, and a little bit of vanilla. And what we're going to do is we're just going to empty this into this nice microwave safe bowl. In fact, I actually picked this up brand new today because I never really have a bowl that's big enough. Now this recipe came from Alton Brown and his show Good Eats. I saw it on the show once, and then I have made it probably the last 5 or 6 years, mainly because it's so darn easy. I love this little thing here. This is actually a promotional item we got from somewhere, but this pusher measuring cup is great for things like peanut butter. It really cuts down on the mess because when you can easily measure it out, you can clear so you can see through it and make sure you've got no major voids in there. And then when you go to put it out, you just go whoop, take your spatula, your knife, whatever, and you've got a nice clean dispensing of the sticky ingredient. I use it for molasses, I use it for corn syrup, peanut butter, anything that's real sticky like that. All we have to do now is stick this bowl into the microwave for about 2 minutes. Again, as always with microwaves, your timing may vary depending on power on that. Keep a close eye on it. Basically all we're going to do is we're going to melt this down into a liquid mixture that will then add the sugar to. Now while the microwave is melting the butter and the peanut butter, just wanted to show you this little pan. All it is a glass cake pan or baking dish, lined it with some aluminum foil, hit it with a little bit of cooking spray. This is just so that you can easily get the peanut butter fudge out of the container when you're ready to slice it. Basically once I put the fudge in here, it's going to solidify. We're going to wrap it up. It's going to store aside in the refrigerator until the party, and then at that point is when we'll cut it. It's always good to make sure you do lubricate the aluminum foil just to make sure. I have had it stick in past years, less with this one, more so with the chocolate fudge we're going to make in a little bit, but always a good idea to make sure that you're going to be able to get your fudge out of the pan when you're ready to serve it. Now here's what the mixture looks like after 2 minutes in my microwave. The butter was already pretty soft. I had left it out for a few hours, so it was already pretty soft, so I think that sped along the process. As you can see, all we got to really do here is get the peanut butter to dissolve. I think even with that, it's going to take another couple minutes in the microwave to mix everything together. As you can see here now, the butter and peanut butter are perfectly well mixed. We're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I frankly never measure my vanilla. I always just do it by eye. Probably overdo it a bit, but you know, vanilla is such a part of the holiday season and the tastes and the smells that it never seems to go overboard for me. Now we're going to dump in about a pound, actually just about a pound of confectioner's sugar. Now I had a 2-pound bag, so I actually measured mine out to make sure I had half the bag. If you use the boxes of confectioner's sugar, that is actually 1 pound all by itself, and you just dump the whole box in. I don't really worry about adding it too slowly. I just kind of dump it in and start to move it around. You don't really get lumps. You could sift this. If your confectioner's sugar is a bit lumpy, you could go ahead and sift it first, but I usually don't find a need for that. Okay, let's just get that all in there. Okay, and now very carefully mix this together. You think it's not going to possibly take all the sugar, but the fact is the sugar goes in very quickly here. I am glad I got this larger bowl. Even then you can see I'm still kind of overflowing a little bit. This is the biggest problem, is getting the sugar into the mixture. So you tend to push this light sugar everywhere you go. It can be a little messy. But then again, what are the holidays without a little mess? And there you go. It's all mixed up nicely together there, and no signs of any confection of sugar or anything like that. I actually did use my hands a little bit to kind of mix it together better. What we're going to do then is put that in our prepared pan, spread it out nicely into the pan, and then we're going to top this with another piece of aluminum foil just for it to solidify. I think that helps it keep from getting a hard top on it. It stays a little bit soft. I don't need my fudge to be horribly soft or anything like that. I just might keep it from the sugars from crystallizing a little bit on top. But that is basically it. Couldn't be any easier, couldn't be any quicker, and yet it is so tasty. This is actually a taste from my childhood. When I smell this and when I taste this, it is just like the fudge I had growing up back in Ohio. And as it's always been said, the sense of memory, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing are very important parts of memory. And this just triggers such memories from my own childhood whenever I make it. And now for our second fudge for the season. This is, again, so simple, so basic. There are fudges you can cook and otherwise make, and I find them just to be too much work. I've made them in the past. These are so good and they're so easy that I just continue to return to them. This fudge is a chocolate walnut fudge, and yes, it is made, in this case, with baker's chocolate. You could use your favorite semi-sweet chocolate. It really doesn't matter. But I do use the baker's recipe inside the box. I often have to remind people who come to the party that, you know, some of these recipes are very, very common, and they're often right on the products that you're using. The great thing about this is, of course, it's a one bowl fudge, just like the other one. So what we do is we need 2 packages of this, and the first thing we have to do is we have to unwrap all the chocolate squares. This is probably the biggest amount of work of the entire recipe, is simply opening these up and dropping them in. And again, this recipe is so simple. So to this chocolate, we simply add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I like the fact these people have put the pull-top lid on these. They usually are a little hard to get open. This is another one of those messy things that you just sort of have to deal with when you're baking, but you can see we just dumped it over. Now, we're going to microwave this as well to melt the chocolate along with the milk. It will take longer because, of course, the chocolate is completely solidified, so we'll probably have to do, I usually do 1 minute bursts, and usually takes 3 to 4 times through before it's completely melted. So here you can see after 1 minute, the chocolate's still pretty solid. It's starting to melt around the edges, so I'll give this a quick stir, and then we'll put this back in for another minute. And here we are after 2 minutes in the microwave. Yeah, this is looking much better. Still might need just 1 more. We're gonna stir this for a while, and we'll see. It's starting to come together though, so that may be enough. You're basically using the residual heat that's in there to melt the chocolate. You don't want to cook the chocolate. I have accidentally overcooked chocolate, and it basically turns into a kind of useless lump. Doesn't necessarily taste bad, but it certainly isn't fudge, and it certainly isn't frosting, and there's not a whole lot else you can use it for except for eating and consoling yourself that you wasted that much chocolate. Okay, so there we have it. It's all melted. I did put it in for just like 10 to 15 seconds more, just to get the last few chunks that were in there melted up. I'm gonna come over here and get the rest of the chocolate and the condensed milk off my little plate there. 1 cup of walnuts go in, and I do tend to use full walnuts, or walnut halves, I guess you'd actually call them. I like nice big chunks. You're going to cut this in very small pieces. In fact, that's the trick for all the stuff I make for my party, since it is an open house, and you want people to have a chance to try a wide variety of items. You can't make them too large, or they're going to fill up on the first 2 cookies. And that's going to be it. So I make everything smaller than bite size usually. That was, by the way, 2 teaspoons of vanilla we add in at the very end here. If you added that in when you were heating, it's likely you're going to evaporate it off or might even burn it. So not a good idea. It looks a little ugly. Putting it in at the end, you do have to mix quite well to make sure everything gets mixed in there. But it is better to add that at the end. So again, just to recommend to you, bite size, bite size, bite size. Give your guests a chance to sample as much as they like without feeling that they're stuffed to the gills. Everyone tends to have their favorites. This is such a simple fudge, and yet, if I don't make this, if I don't have this on the table, or if I even contemplate out loud the thought of not having this fudge, I will get complaints, because there are people who, even though they could make it themselves, because it is so easy, they prefer to come to my party and have it here. So there we go, all nicely mixed up. This is a pan prepared, much like the one previously, just some aluminum foil, hit with a little bit of cooking spray to make sure that the fudge releases, and in it goes. Again, not any great shakes here, guys. It's quick, it's down, it's dirty, but oh my goodness, is it good. For the chocolate fans in your life, this is probably one of the better things you could make for them. I imagine too that if you went the high end with this and went with some really good bittersweet chocolate, maybe if they're a dark chocolate fan or something like that, better chocolate is going to only make this even better. So definitely something you could try. You could also add in other mix-ins if you like. It's a good base for a wide variety of things. You can basically use it to make whatever you might wish. So there you go. There you have it. There's our 2 fudges for this year. Again, I like to start with these because they are so simple and straightforward. They get me going. They get me in the mindset of going. We're going to have probably, I think, 20 to 22 different varieties of cookies and candies this year. I usually range somewhere between 18 and 25. Some years I go crazy when I've gotten a lot of new recipes come in, and I'll try a bunch of those out. Other times we've been busy and I've had work, and I'm a freelancer, so I work for myself, and it never fails. This tends to be one of the busiest weeks of my year, is the 2 weeks that I'm leading up to my party. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. There'll be recipes attached to the YouTube video, also on the blog post. We're going to be trying to take videos of every recipe that we do this year, so check us out. If you like this video on YouTube, please click the like button. It affects directly how many other people get suggested that they watch this video. Again, for more information, you can always find us on the website, douglasewelch.com.